You're exhausted, not from work, not from lack of sleep, from carrying a weight that was never yours to carry. The belief you must control everything, every decision, every outcome, every thought, every moment. And still, despite all your effort, things slip through your fingers. Life happens anyway. What if I told you that the one trying to control life doesn't exist? What if the exhaustion comes not from failing to control, but from believing you ever could? In a small room in Bombay, decades ago, a man sat at the feet of his teacher. His name was Ramesh Balsekar. His teacher, Nisargadatta Maharaj. What Balsekar heard in that room shattered the foundation of everything he thought he knew about life, and he spent the rest of his years pointing at one radical truth captured in his book, Experiencing the Teaching. A truth so simple, it's overlooked, so liberating it seems impossible. You are not the author of your actions. The one you think you are, the one carrying the burden, doesn't exist. Today, we turn inward to witness the collapse of the greatest illusion, the illusion of the separate doer. This contemplation invites you to recognize the freedom that's been here all along, hidden beneath the weight of a control you never had. We're going to explore how life lives itself and what remains when you stop fighting what is. Breathe. Let the seeking stop, just for now. The suffering begins with a single thought. I did this. It feels so obvious, so undeniable. You chose to wake up. You decided to watch this. You're making things happen, right? But Balsekar asks us to look closer, not with philosophy, with brutal honesty. That decision you made this morning, where did it come from? A thought arose. But did you summon it? Did you author it? Or did it simply appear like a bird landing on a branch? Unannounced, uninvited, just there. Trace it back. Any action, any choice. You'll find the same thing every time. A thought appeared. The body responded. But you, the separate you, was nowhere in the equation. There was only happening. Spontaneous, impersonal, whole. No author, no controller. Just functioning. Most people live their entire lives believing they are the true agents of action, and because of this belief, they carry responsibility like a stone. They think they can change the world, control thoughts, direct events, a control that never existed. And in trying to hold on to this illusion, they suffer. When things don't go as planned, they blame themselves. They improve, they take courses, they chase techniques, and they get limited results, which leads to more frustration, more seeking, more exhaustion. The wheel keeps turning because they never questioned the one turning it. But what if you could see that things happen spontaneously, not because you're powerless, but because there is no separate you to be powerful or powerless? What if the entire structure of me controlling life was just a thought, and thoughts simply appear like weather? You are not the doer. You never were. Let that sit, not as a concept, as a possibility. Right now, notice, a thought is arising. You didn't call it. It came. An image flickers in your mind. Did you paint it? Or did it just appear? The breath moves in and out. Are you breathing? Or is breathing happening through this body? Look closely, with curiosity, not belief. When you reach for something, trace the chain. Thirst, thought, movement. Where in this sequence is the you who decided? Or is it all just unfolding, like rain falling, like leaves turning? Spontaneous, natural, no one doing it. Balsekar's teaching comes from Advaita Vedanta, the ancient philosophy of non-duality. And at its core is this: there is only one reality, consciousness, and everything you call me is just an appearance within it, a character in a dream, playing its part, but convinced it wrote the script. The total freedom is the total understanding that I am not the doer. This isn't something to believe, it's something to see. When you analyze your day, really analyze it, you discover something startling. You had no control. A sensation arose. A thought followed. The body moved. But nowhere in this process was there a separate you pulling strings. Just response, reaction, happening, the brain functioning perfectly without a manager. And here's the beauty: life doesn't stop. Decisions still happen. Choices still arise. The body-mind keeps functioning exactly as before. What changes is the illusion. The belief in authorship falls away, and with it, the burden, the guilt, the pride, the anxiety of getting it right. All of it dissolves when you finally see, I am not the one doing this. Pause. Let that settle. Not in your thoughts. Deeper. Now the mind protests. But I live in society. I must make choices. I have responsibilities. And Balsekar would smile. Of course, he'd say, choices will happen. Actions will unfold. But consider this. The choice you make, is it truly your choice? Or does it simply occur? Think about it. Every choice you make is based on programming you didn't choose. Your genetics, not chosen. Your childhood conditioning, not chosen. Your culture, your language, your preferences, your sense of right and wrong, all of it installed before you could speak. You think you're choosing freely, but you're choosing based on a conditioning you had no say in. So, if your free will is based on programming you never controlled, whose free will are we talking about? The doer was always an illusion. This isn't fatalism. This is the end of suffering. Because when personal control dissolves, so does everything that came with it. You stop carrying the world. You stop resenting others for actions they didn't author. You stop punishing yourself for mistakes that simply happened through this mechanism. Forgiveness becomes natural, not because you decided to forgive, but because there's no one left to hold the grudge. Let me offer you something. Close your eyes if you can, or soften your gaze, just for a moment. Notice the breath, rising, falling. Are you doing it? Or is it happening? Listen to sounds around you. Did you choose to hear them? Or are they simply occurring? Now notice a thought, any thought. Did you call it forward, or did it arrive on its own? Stay here, not controlling, not doing, just witnessing, life functioning by itself. This, right here, is your natural state, effortless, choiceless, awareness watching itself, nothing to become, nowhere to go. Just this, just now. Rest here. Open your eyes. What you just experienced is the simplicity Balsekar kept pointing toward. Life living itself, no controller needed. And the paradox? When you stop trying to control, life flows more smoothly. Not because you're manifesting, but because resistance drops. You stop arguing with reality, and reality is always winning anyway. How does this touch your everyday life? You're stuck in traffic. Frustration rises. The old belief says, I made the wrong choice. I should have left earlier. I'm an idiot. The new understanding says, the thought to take this route occurred. Traffic occurred. both happening, no one to blame, no guilt, no story, just what is. And somehow, even in gridlock, there's space, peace even. You make a mistake at work. The old belief screams, I'm incompetent. I ruined everything. The new understanding whispers, an action happened. A consequence followed. What's next? No identification, no shame spiral, just response. Natural, immediate. Someone criticizes you. The old belief says, they're attacking me. I must defend who I am. The new understanding says, words were spoken. A reaction arose. Let's see what happens. No enemy, no self to protect. Just functioning, spontaneous, whole. Even modern neuroscience stumbles into this ancient wisdom. Studies reveal that the brain initiates action before conscious awareness kicks in. What we call I decided is actually the mind's story told after the fact. The decision already happened. The sense of personal authorship? A narrative overlay. The illusion of the separate doer, confirmed by science, not to diminish life, but to reveal what sages have always known. Consciousness comes first. The individual is appearance. When the doer disappears, only freedom remains. Enlightenment is simply the understanding that there is no individual trying to understand anything. This is the ultimate surrender, but not the surrender of someone to something. It's the recognition that there never was a separate someone. There is only consciousness, playing every role, witnessing every scene, being the entire film. And you are that, not the character struggling through the plot. You are the screen itself, not the wave fearing the ocean. You are the ocean, dreaming itself as a wave. Balsekar often quoted the Buddha. Events happen, deeds are done, but there is no individual doer. And he'd distill everything into one phrase, the prayer that ends separation, thy will be done, not mine. This isn't religious. It's the end of the war between what you want and what is. When you stop opposing life with your tiny personal will, you merge with the totality, and from that space, life becomes spontaneous, effortless, natural. Choices happen, actions unfold, but there's no one claiming credit, no one assigning blame, just life, living itself through this form. Some fear this teaching breeds passivity, but look at those who embodied it. Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta Maharaj, Balsekar himself. Were they passive? No. They responded fully. They taught. They lived with intensity, but without the burden of, I am the doer. And that made them radiant, free, peaceful. Life flowed through them without resistance. And that's what's available to you. Not after years of practice, not when you're worthy enough. Right now, this moment, because the truth is, you were never not free. The limitation was always imaginary, a case of mistaken identity. You are not the character struggling through the story. You are the awareness in which the story appears, and that awareness is untouched by the story, whole, complete, already free. So, what now? Simply this. Notice, as you move through your day, watch actions happen. Watch thoughts arise. Watch choices occur. And ask quietly, gently, who is doing this? Not to get an answer, just to look. And in that looking, the illusion begins to loosen. The burden lightens. The weight you've been carrying drops, and what remains is what was always here, presence itself. being without effort, without separation, without the exhausting belief that you must control the uncontrollable. Life will continue, storms will come, decisions will be made, but you'll meet them differently, not as one who must steer the ship through every wave, but as the ocean itself, allowing the waves to rise and fall without fear, without resistance, and in that allowing, there is peace. Not the peace of getting what you want, but the peace that's independent of circumstances, the peace that you are. Before you return to the world, sit with this question, not to answer it, but to let it dissolve you. If I'm not the doer, then who am I? Let it work beneath thought, beneath concept, into the silence that's always been here, patient, waiting to be noticed. There is no one doing, only doing. Thank you for sitting here. If this touched something in you, let it reach others by engaging with it, not for me, but so these teachings can find those still carrying the weight, and return here whenever you forget, whenever the burden feels too heavy, to remember you are not the struggle. You are the space in which struggle appears and disappears. You are not the doer. You are the doing itself. Rest now, not as someone who earned rest, but as the peace that never left. You are not the wave struggling to become the ocean. You are the ocean, dreaming you're a wave. And when you wake, the struggle ends. Breathe and be still. That's all there is. That's all there ever was.